the US military's pressure campaign is having a real effect. The Houthis are on the run, and now they've got a new, even bigger issue. Iran has pulled away. As the US continues bombing Yemen, Iran is stepping back from one of its most important proxy groups. This shift changes things, not just in the Red Sea, but also inside Iran, which now seems to be backing away from a key regional player. On April 3rd, the UK-based Telegraph reported that Iran has called back all its military personnel from Yemen. It's unclear exactly how many Iranian troops were stationed there. Yemen's been locked in a brutal civil war for over 10 years. But what we do know is that back in January 2024, Iran had sent members of its Revolutionary Guard to the region. Those forces were under the command of General Abdul Reza Shahlai. That's Shahlai. According to the Washington Institute, the first Trump administration tried to take him out in 2020. Was Shahlai still there recently? We don't have confirmation. But if he was, Iran's pullout means he's now heading home, along with any soldiers he commanded. The Telegraph quoted an anonymous Iranian official who said the decision is directly tied to Trump's heavy air campaign in Yemen and his ongoing pressure to get Iran to return to talks over its nuclear ambitions. Right now, that official says, every meeting in Iran is centered on one thing: Trump. Nobody is talking about the groups we used to support, the source added. So the big question: why is Iran really leaving Yemen? One reason seems to be the non-stop bombing raids that the US has launched, which Trump has proudly called unbelievably successful. Since March 15th, American strikes have hit Houthi targets throughout Yemen, reportedly killing dozens. The Houthis say the attacks are hitting civilian areas. On March 15th, they claimed US bombs had killed 31 and injured over 100. The US, meanwhile, says the strikes have taken out key leaders and critical military sites, crippling the group's ability to threaten ships in the Red Sea. The reality? Likely somewhere between those two claims. What's undeniable is that the air raids keep coming. Trump, increasing the pressure on both the Houthis and Iran, has ordered daily bombings. On the 2-week mark of the campaign, PBS reported a strike that killed at least one person and destroyed a key Houthi facility in Sana'a. Just days later, on April 3rd, another wave of strikes killed 6 more in Houthi-held areas. All told, Trump's air campaign has left at least 67 people dead. And while that's happening, the US is building up its military presence in the region. 6 B-2 Spirit bombers have been deployed to Diego Garcia, a small island base in the Indian Ocean, controlled by the UK. The base is far enough to be out of reach from Iran's missiles, but close enough to launch long-range strikes, especially with refueling tankers in the air. That move sends a clear message. The US is starting with the Houthis. If Trump doesn't get what he wants, Iran is next. Other reinforcements include the USS Carl Vinson, a massive aircraft carrier now on its way to the Middle East. It will soon join the USS Harry S. Truman, already stationed in the Red Sea and launching airstrikes. When the Vinson arrives, it will double America's strike capacity in the area, increasing the pressure on Houthi leaders. On top of that, the US announced at the end of March that it's deploying the 124th Fighter Wing to the region. This unit includes a 10 Thunderbolt, 2 attack aircraft, and 300 personnel, further intensifying the situation. The Houthis are trying to respond. The Telegraph reports that a Russian military advisor is now in Sana'a, helping the group plan counterattacks against US carriers. But even Russia has its own motives. They're urging the Houthis to avoid targeting Saudi Arabia, the current host for ceasefire talks between Trump and Putin over Ukraine. Red Sea attacks on US Navy ships have become so frequent. Some say it's the heaviest combat American sailors have faced since World War II. Even so, the Houthis haven't managed any direct hits with their drones or missiles. Meanwhile, US strikes continue to land daily. This relentless campaign leads to another major reason for Iran's retreat. They don't want a direct confrontation with the United States. The Iranian official told the Telegraph that Iran doesn't want to risk its troops being caught in US airstrikes. It makes sense. If even one Iranian officer is killed by US bombs, Iran would be forced to react. They've built their image as a regional power and as an opponent of the US. Losing a soldier, especially on foreign soil, would force their hand, exposing their involvement and possibly triggering open conflict. But a fight with America, Iran knows that's a losing game. Global Firepower, a group that ranks military strength across 145 nations, paints a clear picture. The US ranks number 1. Iran, number 16. The US military has over 1.3 million active duty soldiers with nearly 800,000 reserves. Iran has about 350,000 reserves. The numbers don't compare. In spending, the US allocates $895 billion per year. Iran? Just $15 billion. America has more than 13,000 aircraft to Iran's 551. Its armored vehicles outnumber Iran's by 6 to 1. And when it comes to tanks and naval power, the US holds a massive edge. No surprise then that Iran wants to avoid going toe-to-toe. When it comes to Yemen, they've clearly decided that stepping back is the smarter move. With their military personnel out of the picture, there's less risk of sparking a war they know they can't win. And Iran is fully aware that Trump's air campaign has been just as effective as advertised. Take March 25th, for example. Reports suggest that one of the US strikes may have taken out Houthis al-Assad, a senior figure in the Houthi Supreme Political Council. Toward the end of March, he seemed to vanish. He was known for posting anti-Israel propaganda on X, especially in support of Gaza. His last message, on March 20th, read simply, "Death to Israel." Since then, silence. It seems clear. Al-Assad, along with other high-ranking Houthi figures, is either hiding or dead. Iran sees what's happening, and it's choosing to walk away. The Iranian source confirmed this shift in thinking. The Houthis are unlikely to survive, the source said, and they may only have days or weeks left. There's no point in continuing to support them. According to the official, the Houthis were just one link in a chain. That chain also included Nasrallah, the former Hezbollah leader, and Assad, Syria's ex-president. Now, with Syria in ruins and Hezbollah weakened, the chain is broken. Supporting the Houthis alone no longer makes sense. So what does this all mean for the wider region? Simply put, the pressure on Iran is working. That's according to Sanam Vakil of Chatham House, a respected international affairs group. He told The Telegraph that Trump's handling of the Houthis marks a major shift from the way former President Joe Biden handled things in 2024. Biden took a defensive stance. In 2021, he removed the Houthis from the US list of terrorist organizations, a decision Trump has now reversed. And when Biden launched strikes in 2024, they were viewed more as reactions than aggressive moves. Trump has taken a different approach, says Sanam Vakil. Trump is trying to prove he's more effective at solving conflicts than the Biden administration was, she told The Telegraph. She adds, the strikes are part of the maximum pressure campaign. He wants to send a message to both Iran and the axis of resistance. His administration will take a bolder stance against regional destabilization. That pressure targets both Iran and the Houthis. Let's start with Iran. Trump is turning up the heat because the US wants Iran back at the negotiating table over its nuclear program. In March, Trump sent a letter to Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian requesting talks. Iran rejected the offer. Pezeshkian said, quote, "We responded to the US president's letter via Oman and rejected direct talks, but we are open to indirect negotiations." End quote. That rejection prompted Trump to intensify bombing campaigns against the Houthis and back the major US military buildup in the region. Trump's message to Iran, you can't have nukes, and it's timely. Iran is edging closer to developing nuclear warheads. According to Iran Watch, the country can already enrich uranium up to 60% uranium-235, U-235. That's the isotope used in nuclear fission. At 90% enrichment, you have a bomb. But even 25% U-235 is enough to build a working weapon. Iran is already within striking distance. They're also ramping up production. In November 2020, Iran installed a cascade of 174 IR-2 centrifuges. In February 2021, they added a similar set of IR-6s. Iran Watch estimates that with 3,000 IR-2s, a nuclear weapon could be ready in 4 months, with IR-6s 2.5 months. So, when Iran refused talks, Trump made a blunt statement. The US might be forced to bomb Iran into oblivion. Iran replied with a warning. An advisor to Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei said, "We are not moving toward nuclear weapons. But if you act recklessly, you will force Iran to defend itself. We don't want this, but we will have no choice. On April 2nd, Axios reported that Trump is now seriously considering indirect talks with Iran. But until that happens, the pressure campaign continues via Houthi airstrikes. And it appears to be working. Iran has now abandoned the Houthis. That shift is huge. Trump's strategy: cut off Iran's proxy network piece by piece. With the Houthis sidelined, Iran loses one of its key tools in projecting power across the region. The US now has a window to focus directly on Iran. And for Iran, that's a problem. The Telegraph reports that Iran is getting weaker. They point to the collapse of key proxies like Hamas and Hezbollah, what the outlet calls critical nodes in Iran's regional web. It gets worse. Back in April 2024, Iran launched around 300 missiles and drones at Israel, a show of force in support of Hamas. Bloomberg says almost all of them failed or were intercepted. Then came round 2 in October. 200 missiles. More powerful this time, still ineffective. These were 2 of the largest missile barrages in modern history. And they accomplished nothing. As Dr. Ail Pinko at Bar-Ilan University puts it, Iran has hundreds of missiles. Thousands of engineers are working in its missile industry. But here's the problem. Those missiles are mostly duds. Now, add the fall of Hamas, add Hezbollah's retreat, add the collapse of Assad, and now the Houthis. Iran's entire proxy network is disintegrating. It's being exposed as a paper tiger, and Trump is pressing that advantage. Israel has already destroyed most of Hamas's infrastructure in Gaza. It's inflicted heavy losses on Hezbollah in Lebanon. And in December, Bashar al-Assad was overthrown in a rapid rebel offensive. Iran failed to protect him. Now the Houthis are gone too. They were Iran's last standing proxy, and their abandonment exposes the truth. Iran is falling from power. That matters not just for Iran, but for the Houthis too. With Iran pulling back, it's likely they'll halt weapons shipments to Yemen. Previously, Iran supplied everything from Shahab-3 missiles, range 1,242 miles, to Burkan 3s, range 745 miles, along with swarms of drones. The Houthis used those weapons to hit ships in the Red Sea, allegedly in support of Hamas. According to Crisis Group, they've launched over 500 attacks on shipping and Israel since October 2023. That's no small thing. Roughly 12% of global maritime traffic and 40% of container shipping passes through the Red Sea. Iran gave the Houthis real power. With that, they controlled Sana'a. They printed money. They collected taxes without any legitimate government. Now that power base is collapsing. Mahmoud Shera, a former Yemeni diplomat and associate fellow at Chatham House, says, after the collapse of Hezbollah and Assad, the Houthis are now on the front lines. They're escalating attacks to stay politically relevant. According to Shera, the Houthis even rebranded Iranian missiles and drones to hide where they came from. But with Iran gone, there's no more support, no more training, no more weapons. Without Tehran, the Houthis can't hold out. Their defenses are already faltering under US airstrikes. It's only a matter of time before they crumble. And that opens the door for something big, the possible return of Yemen's former government. We may be witnessing the collapse of 2 regimes in real time. The Houthis are isolated. Iran's proxy model is failing. And it all stems from one decision. Trump turned up the pressure. And this airstrike campaign is unlike anything the Houthis ever saw under Biden.